So on Saturday, January 23rd, the Orioles announced that longtime broadcaster Gary Thorne would not be returning. Gary Thorne's contract was not renewed. He joins fellow MASN on-air cuts, including TV radio guy Jim Hunter, pre- and post-game host Tom Davis, Rick Dempsey, Dave Johnson, TV color commentator Mike Bordick. All these guys will not be back for 2021. And MASN also said that they're not going to pay for the 30-minute pre- and post-game shows, and instead they're going to have a 15-minute long with the pre- and post-game show with the guys who are actually calling the game. So Gary's honestly the big one here. Gary's the one that hurts the most. And here to give a little tribute and just talk about the legacy of Gary Thorne in Baltimore is my good friend Kevin Vinciguerra. Kevin, how we doing?
Good. How are you doing, Justin?
I'm good. It's been a weird, somber weekend in Birdland. I was really disappointed to hear about Gary. What was your reaction when you heard about the news and the cuts?
I was honestly just really, really surprised with Gary because he's been the Orioles commentator for the past 14 years now, 13 years.
I think since 2007, so yeah.
Yeah, I was not expecting that at all. I mean,
yeah, I mean, Jim Hunter, I think on Friday, I think it was announced that via Twitter, and he was a little salty about his departure. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they're just going to trim it down a little bit. It just looks like they took an axe and chopped down the entire MASN on-air team. Gary was one of those guys too that you watched a bad game to hear Gary. I don't know if you look at the score, the Orioles are losing by 15. Would you still tune it in to hear a little Gary Thorne, Jim Palmer?
Yeah, I mean, I would still like listening to him. I mean, Gary Thorne always, he would always have something, good to say. Jim Palmer he'd always have some kind of anecdote or something.
Yeah, some story from the 70s, and it always had Earl Weaver in it. And it was honestly like story time. And some of the best times were when the Orioles were losing by a lot, and most people had tuned out, but the few people that were still watching, they honestly they just cut up and had a great time, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, they would always be joking around, they wouldn't be taking it too seriously.
That's a good way of looking at it too. A lot of these guys, baseball announcers, are buttoned up, kind of a little stuffy, but not Gary. Gary was laughing. He had that Rick from Pawn Stars laugh, that nasally old man laugh. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he thought everything was funny. And it was weird because in 2020, Gary wasn't there. So we had a little taste of what it was like to not have Gary. I think it was COVID reasons or a contract dispute, maybe a little both. We had Scott Garceau as the play-by-play guy on MASN. I think he's going to be there next year. And Ben McDonald and Jim Palmer hopefully are coming back as analysts.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be a fun way to kind of just, look back at some of the best times that Gary Thorne's had out there in the broadcast booth, and do a top three. We'll do a top three Gary Thorne moments, kind of like a little tribute to our guy Gary. So I thought it'd be fun. So yeah, let's what do you have as your number 3 Gary Thorne moment?
Okay, so number 3 happened in 2012. It was in September. It was, when they're going down the stretch, they, Orioles were really hot that month too. So they were playing the Rays. It was the top of the 9th inning, and Machado had a ball hit to him at third, and there was a runner going from second to third, and he rounded third, and Machado picked up the ball. It looked like he was going to do one of his signature barehanded plays, and then he just paused and then threw it to the third baseman. They got the guy in a rundown, and that was the third out of the inning. I just really like Gary Thorne's call on that play because it was I don't know, it wasn't one of his signature calls. He had to do it on the fly, and what he said was perfect.
3-2-2 away. Longoria waiting. Slow ground ball. Manny Machado barehanded. Don't throw it away. Don't throw it at all. What a great play to Hardy. And Wieters will put the tag on him.
Right, because it was Machado, don't throw it away, don't throw it at all.
Yeah.
He instantly, he had such a feel for the moment at that point. And also the play itself was amazing. It doesn't get talked about with some of Manny's better throws, but like, was he 20 years old when he did that? And he has the baseball IQ to pump fake it and just turn around and knew exactly where to throw the ball?
Yeah, he was 20 years old. I think he'd been in the league for maybe a month.
Yeah.
Like he moved up from Double-A.
And it was playing out of position. He's a shortstop, and this is like his first first month-ish playing an entirely new position. Gosh, yeah, I missed that. That the early days of Manny coming up, like that 2012 and then 2013 when he was hitting everything for a double. That really makes me feel a little nostalgic.
Yeah, I mean that Manny was kind of the final piece they needed that year. He kind of like really helped them out.
That's a good point, because it was Wilson Betemeat was your third baseman, and he was okay, but Wilson Betemeat wouldn't have pump fake and threw it behind him. Wilson Betemeat would have threw that ball right over to first.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a great one. I really like that as your number 3. So my number 3, I'm also going Manny Machado. I'm going July 7th, 2013. They're at Yankee Stadium. I'm going Gary Thorne's call of the Manny Machado, Luis Cruz missile across the diamond. So Luis Cruz, I don't even know if he's still playing, but he hit a dribbler that went into foul territory. Machado goes all the way over there, basically next to the stands, makes a throw, not even on his feet. They did a slow-mo. He was up in the air and threw it like 120 feet across there and gunned him out at first.
Very athletic, TJ McFarland.
Here's Luis Cruz. He has flied out and struck out. Manny Machado, foul territory, long throw. Oh, mercy! Gonna see that one for a few years. What a play by Machado into foul territory, and then with that cannon for an arm. Makes the play, and Cruz is retired. Maybe the defensive play of the year for the Orioles.
And just the way that Gary's voice stayed with the call. Like, there wasn't any, like, downtime. It was like, Machado, and then it was just like, mercy! Gotta see that one for a few years. Like,
oh, yeah, the mercy thing. That was a big thing he always did.
God, between mercy and goodbye home run, those two calls for Gary really are iconic. But, just to have the presence of mind to stay with the call and just and you gotta see that one for a few years. Like, just the quickness of Gary Thorne to know that this is one of the best defensive plays of all time. Like, I thought that was fantastic. So I'm glad we did Manny at number 3 there.
Yeah.
What are you thinking for number 2? What's your number 2 Gary Thorne moment?
So number 2 happened in 2011. It was actually the last game of the season. The Orioles were playing the Red Sox, and Robert Andino hit a walk-off single to left. Gary Thorne's call on that, it was just another one of those ones where I really liked it because it wasn't one of his signature calls. He just called it how he saw it. He was yelling, they did it, and it was...
Here's the 1-1 delivery. That is at the right field, and no, it's trapped! The Orioles coming to the plate, rival! They did it! They did it! They did it! The Orioles have beat the Red Sox! 2 runs, bottom of the 9th inning!
He got so into it.
Yeah, I know. He said the wrong field. He said it was hit the right field. I didn't even care about that. It was just a good call. Like, it was like, I don't know. I would say it was imperfectly perfect.
He honestly, when he was getting like that and cheering, he was like a fan. And that's what you want for the home broadcast feed. You don't want to have somebody who's just like disconnected. You want to cheer along with the guy. And I thought Gary did that the entire time he was in Baltimore. Yeah,
definitely. Like the Orioles, I think they finished 69 and 93 that season. He was still as excited as you could possibly be about something like that.
That was their World Series right there, that game, and it was Gary was on the call for that World Series win. That doesn't count.
Yeah,
that's a great one. Yeah, that he's like, he trapped it. Oh yeah, they did it. So it's so good, so good. That's a great one. My number 2, I'm going a home run call. So we said this earlier. His home run call of goodbye home run. It's short, sweet, it's to the point. It's awesome. But I'm going to give you an example of a home run call that didn't make any sense. This is a nonsensical home run call, and this kind of plays to Gary's humor a little bit. So it's May 3rd, 2016. Mark Trumbo. This is his second month with the Orioles. He's hitting everything out for a home run. People are calling it Trumbo Jumbos. I think Joe Angel called it a Trumbo Jumbo, if I recall correctly, on the radio. You had Trump Bombs, which I don't really think that plays well on TV. But our guy Gary called a mammoth Trumbo home run to left field. He called it a Trumbo Bumbo. What's a Bumbo, you might be thinking? I have no idea. It just made sense.
I mean, I feel like I'm kind of blind. I can't even see. I mean, I can't.
Trumbo! Bumbo at the wall! And goodbye, home run!
Oh, man. I don't remember that one.
It's a deep cut. It's like on an album. It's like, there's like the hits. There's like 3 or 4 hits on every album, and then there's like track number 25 that nobody really hears and it doesn't make the radio. That's what this call is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I missed that. I missed Trumbo Bumbos and Trumbo Jumbos, and I missed that guy. That's a great one. So we're rarefied air here. We're at the number 1 Gary Thorne moment. Kevin, what is your number 1?
So at number 1, I have is Cal Ripken statue night. I was having a little trouble choosing which one I wanted. There was the Mark Reynolds one, and then there was the Adam Jones one. And I think I'm going to go with the Adam Jones one because that home run, I think, was just more iconic in that game. It was a go-ahead home run in the bottom of the 8th.
Here's the 1-2 delivery. And in the air to left field. He got out of that one. Goodbye, home run, Orioles lead.
The Orioles were up all game, and Pedro Strop blew a huge lead in the top of the 8th.
Shocker.
Yeah. And it just, the whole stadium was just like dead before that happened. And then Jones gets up there and just like crushes one to left center. It was a no doubter. And Gary Thorne, he didn't say anything super crazy. It was just one of his signature goodbye home run calls, but it was like he just did it perfectly. And the Orioles went on to win that game, and they were tied with the Yankees for first.
That's a good one. Yeah, you told me about the Mark Reynolds one, but even just a solid goodbye home run in a packed stadium that's losing its freaking mind, I think that plays. I think that's a great number 1.
Yeah.
So I have, for my number 1 pick, I talked about Gary Thorne is one of the funniest broadcasters out there. He has a real sense for the comedy, and I'm going April 29th, 2015, the no fans game in Baltimore. I'm going the Adam Jones double and him dropping into his master's voice.
Because nobody's in the yard about the appropriate way to broadcast. So with Adam Jones coming up here in the 7th inning, Jones approach to the plate with Carroll delivering. Jones will whack the son of a gun to center field. That's very deep. It's deep, and it's off the base of the wall. He will head to second base. Adam Jones has a double, and that green jacket is well within reach, Jim.
Like, Gary should be doing improv comedy because, like, Jones whacked that son of a gun to center field. He's standing up with a double and that green jacket. Like, he's doing improv. He's doing improv comedy, and it played.
Yeah, definitely. The best thing about that one was it was just the timing was perfect. He said he was going to do his master's voice, and then on the very next pitch, Jones happens to hit one to center, and it was just perfect.
It was absolutely like one of my favorite Gary Thorne moments. He dropped his voice into that Jim Nantz low, like, hello, friends. He dropped it down an octave. And then, like, you're right, Adam Jones, right on cue, hits a double off the wall, and that green jacket is well within reach, Jim. Like, it's incredible. Nobody else is going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I know.